Stay with me. Can you hear me?
It hurts. I can't move.
I'm lifting you. Hold on.
The storm came without warning, out on the edge of the desert colony, where rust-colored sands stretched endlessly under a dim twin-sun sky. Elias Varn was finishing repairs on his weather station when the sky cracked open. A streak of burning light tore through the clouds, trailing smoke and unnatural. It didn't fall like debris. It moved, adjusting its descent as if it were alive. Elias squinted, shielding his eyes. That's no meteor. The object slammed into the dunes miles away, sending up a plume of sand so vast it swallowed the horizon. Most people in Outpost K-17 would have ignored it. Strange things fell from the sky on frontier worlds all the time, and curiosity had a way of getting you killed. But Elias wasn't most people. He had come to this forgotten colony to escape war, not to fear it. So he grabbed his medkit, powered up his sandrunner, and drove straight toward the impact. The crash site was worse than he imagined. The sand had fused into glass around a crater that pulsed faintly with heat. At its center lay a broken vessel, sleek, obsidian black, etched with symbols that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking directly at them. Elias approached cautiously. "Hello," he called out, knowing how useless the word was across species. No response. Then he saw her. She lay half-buried in the shattered hull, tall, unnaturally so, with skin that shimmered like polished silver beneath the dust. Her armor was cracked open, revealing wounds that glowed faintly violet, as if her blood wasn't entirely physical. Elias froze. Alien. Not the first he'd seen, but something about her presence made his instincts scream. Not danger exactly, but power. Like standing too close to a live reactor, he should have left. Instead, he stepped closer. "She's dying," he muttered. Her chest rose in shallow, uneven breaths. One arm was twisted unnaturally, and faint fractures of light rippled across her body like cracks in reality itself. Elias hesitated only a moment longer before kneeling beside her. "All right, let's see what I can do." Back at his small outpost, Elias worked through the night. He didn't understand her biology. Not fully, but pain, blood loss, and trauma were universal in one form or another. He sealed wounds with adaptive gel, stabilized her breathing with atmospheric regulators, and used a neural patch to calm whatever passed for her nervous system. At one point, her eyes opened. They were not human. They burned with a deep, shifting light, like galaxies collapsing but didn't pull away. "Easy," he said softly. "You're safe." Or, safer than you were. She stared at him, silent. Studying then, in a voice that seemed to echo from multiple directions at once, she spoke. "Why?" Elias blinked. "Why what? Why?" "Preserve me," he shrugged, adjusting a stabilizer. "Because you're hurt." Her gaze sharpened, as if the answer didn't compute. "You do not know what I am." "No," Elias admitted, "but I know what dying looks like." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then her eyes slowly closed again. She recovered faster than any being he had ever seen. Within 2 days, her wounds had sealed. By the third, she could stand. By the fourth, she was walking the perimeter of his outpost like a silent sentinel. Elias kept his distance, unsure whether gratitude or violence would follow. On the 5th day, she approached him. "You are inefficient," she said. Elias looked up from his workbench. "Excuse me, you repair machinery with outdated tools. Your systems are primitive." He chuckled. "Yeah, well, frontier life doesn't come with luxury upgrades." She studied him again. "And yet, you sustained my form with these same limitations. Guess I got lucky." "Luck," she repeated, as if tasting the word. A pause then. "I am called Sarakhthel." Elias wiped his hands on a cloth. "Elias." She inclined her head slightly. "Elias." For the first time, there was something almost human in the way she said it. Days turned into weeks. Sarakhthel stayed. She learned quickly, too quickly. Language, systems, human behavior. But there were gaps, emotional ones. She didn't understand humor or hesitation, or why Elias insisted on helping neighboring settlers when it gained him nothing. "Your actions lack strategic advantage," she said once. "Not everything's about advantage," Elias replied. She tilted her head. "Then what governs your choices?" Elias thought for a moment. "Sometimes it's just the right thing to do." She didn't respond, but something in her expression shifted. The attack came at dawn. 3 ships descended without warning, sleek, armed, and unmistakably hostile. Their presence turned the sky into a battlefield before a single shot was fired. Elias barely had time to react before the first blast tore through the outskirts of the colony. What the hell? Seraphel stepped outside, her gaze fixed on the sky. They have come. Who? Her voice hardened. My enemies. Another explosion rocked the ground. Elias grabbed his gear. We need to get people out. They are not here for them, she said. They are here for me. He froze. Then we really need to move. But she didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward. Stay here, she said. Elias frowned. That's not happening. For the first time, her expression sharpened into something unmistakably commanding. You cannot intervene in what comes next. Watch me. A flicker of something, almost amusement, crossed her face. Very well, she said. The sky broke, not metaphorically, literally. As the enemy ships opened fire, Seraphel raised her hand, and reality itself seemed to bend around her. The air fractured like glass, and the incoming blasts stopped, suspended. Frozen mid-flight, Elias stared in disbelief. What are you? Seraphel didn't answer. She stepped forward, and with a single motion, the frozen energy reversed direction, ripping back toward the ships with multiplied force. The first vessel exploded instantly. The others tried to retreat. They didn't get far. Space twisted. Gravity warped. One by one, the ships crushed, torn apart, or simply erased as if they had never existed. In less than a minute, it was over. The silence fell. Elias stood there, breathless. You. He struggled to find the words. You're not just some survivor. She turned to him, her form now faintly glowing with the same cosmic light he had seen in her eyes. I am Empress Seraphel of the Ninth Dominion, she said, commander of the Eternal Legion, the axis upon which 1,000 worlds turn. Elias blinked. You're a queen. I am more than that. He let out a slow breath. Yeah. I figured. A pause stretched between them. Then he asked the only question that mattered. So, what happens now? Seraphel looked out over the quiet colony, the fragile structures, the scattered survivors emerging from hiding, the world that had unknowingly stood at the edge of annihilation. This world is insignificant by imperial measure, she said, yet it sheltered me. Elias crossed his arms. Don't go blowing it up as a thank you. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips. It will be protected. He raised an eyebrow. By you? Yes. Another pause. Then she looked at him. You acted without knowledge of my power, without expectation of reward. Elias shrugged. That's kind of the point. She studied him one last time. In all my existence, she said quietly, no one has ever done that. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. Well, guess there's a first time for everything. Her gaze softened, just slightly. Indeed. Days later, her ship, rebuilt by means Elias couldn't even comprehend, stood ready to depart. She turned to him before leaving. You could come with me, she said. See the stars as they truly are. Elias smiled faintly. Tempting, he admitted. But someone's got to keep this place running. She nodded. Then this world will remain under my protection. As will you. Elias chuckled. Good to know I've got the strongest being in the galaxy on speed dial. She didn't understand the phrase, but she understood the tone. And for the first time, she smiled fully. Then she was gone. The desert returned to silence. But Elias knew something had changed. Because somewhere out there, among the stars, the most powerful being alive remembered the human who had helped her, without fear, without knowledge, and without asking for anything in return.